Hey guys, so this week I just wanted to actually tell a brief story. Hopefully I can make it brief. I read it a couple of years ago and it's had a pretty big impact on my life. And I'm not sure if it is all that profound or maybe it was just good timing for me and just came at the right time and I was just in the right mood. But regardless, it's had a pretty massive impact on me over the last couple of years. So I'm hoping that it resonates with some of you guys. It's titled The Brazilian Fisherman. Some of you may have already heard it, but so essentially there was a businessman on holidays and he was sitting by the beach in a small Brazilian village. And as he sat on his recliner and had his cocktail, he's looking out and he saw a Brazilian fisherman rowing a small boat back towards the shore. And he had a fair few big fish in his boat. So the businessman, being pretty impressed, asked the fisherman, "How long does it take you to catch so many fish?" And the fisherman replied, "Just a little while." And the businessman's response to that is, "Why don't you stay out longer at sea and catch even more?" So the businessman was astonished by the fact that it only took a couple of hours. And the Brazilian's response was, "This is enough fish to feed my whole family." And the businessman then goes on and asks, "So what do you do for the rest of the day?" And the fisherman replied, "Well, usually I wake up early in the morning, I go out to sea, catch a few fish, then I head back, play with my kids. In the afternoon, I take a nap with my wife. In the evening, I join my friends and we go out for a drink, we play guitar, we sing, we dance, and we laugh." I've got to time these videos better. The businessman offered a suggestion to the fisherman then. He says, "I'm a PhD in business management and I could help you become a more successful entrepreneur. From now on, what you should do is you should spend more time at sea and try to catch as many fish as you possibly can. When you have saved enough money, you could buy a bigger boat and catch even more fish. Soon you will be able to afford to buy more boats, set up a company, employ some staff, have your own production plant, sell canned food, and distribute it worldwide. By then, you'll have moved out of the village to one of the big Brazilian capital cities where you can set up a headquarters and you can manage all of your other branches around the country." The fisherman, looking puzzled, says, "And after that, what am I supposed to do after that?" And the businessman's response is, "After that, you can live like a king in your own house. And when the time is right, you can go public and float the company on the stock exchange or the share market, and you'll be ultra rich." And the fisherman, still with that pretty confused look on his face, he says, "And how about after that?" And the businessman says, "After that, you can finally retire. You can move to a house by the fishing village, wake up early in the morning, catch a few fish, and then you can return home to play with your kids. You can take an afternoon nap with your wife, and when the evening comes, you can go out with your friends, you can drink, play guitar, sing, and dance the night away." The fisherman, still looking super confused, says, "Isn't that what I'm already doing?" And the takeaway for that for me was it made me realize that it's so easy to get caught up chasing the next thing, just for the sake of it or to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. And what we forget is what our original vision or path is, or maybe we haven't even set one. We're just sort of following the crowd, following everybody else, which is probably the worst thing that we can do. And so it also made me realize that maybe a lot of us are a fair bit closer to our goals than we realize, and our view is just clouded by chasing the next shiny object or keeping up with people or just being busy. So, for example, maybe you think that you might need to save $1 million so that you can retire, and got some pretty bad news on that. $1 million likely isn't enough, depending on your age, but especially if you're listening to this from most states in Australia. That's another story though. So back to the point. Say you want to save $1 million. Well, the question is why, and it's probably pretty unlikely that you care for the $1 million. What you want is what you envision $1 million will get you, and for most of us, that's likely freedom. So the real question might be, what do we want to do with that freedom? Why do we want freedom? For what? And then we could take that out to, what do you really want with your life? And then what does your perfect day actually look like? Not many people sit down and tell me what their day looks like, and not just day to day for the first month or two when you're feeling cashed up and you can just lay on the beach and cruise. But think bigger picture, like day to day. What do you want? What's your perfect day for the next 30 years? And then you need to ask, what are the steps we're going to need to take us to that position? And we may be surprised that you're actually closer than you think. You might not need that $1 million just to retire on the beach. And if you would apply this to your other aspects of life, like your fitness goal, a lot of people say they want abs, and we say, like, why? And their response might be to look good and be healthy, and you've like, well, okay, have you seen people that look good and don't have abs? Likely. Do abs equal health? 100% no, they don't. There's actually a strong argument that it could potentially mean the opposite. So we ask, do we want abs, or do you want to feel healthy and confident? Because that's probably a better and more realistic goal for most of us. And again, we're closer than we think.